So the UFC isn't struggling in 2025. Fights are kind of getting dull. The overall viewership across MMA has gone down, and I'm gonna go through some of the reasons why I think that is. So if that interests you, stick around. I even have a little fun PowerPoint here, and I didn't factor in my webcam, so anything in the bottom right corner you can't see. So you know, for all you know, it's like the most insensitive photos on the planet. But this is why the UFC is on a decline and how to save it. Number one, biggest stories outside the cage: Conor McGregor, the Nikita Hand trial, the one about the NBA finals, and now you have the one about the Dublin riots. It's obviously Conor is the biggest star in the sport, but having that kind of media around the sport has taken it down a pinch. And, then you got BJ Penn, who's losing his mind. Looks like it has to do with addiction and a lot of other things. He believes his mom is a government agent. He believes his entire family was replaced by government agents. It's brutal. King Velasquez, you know, what he did, I feel like any person would do in a situation. He shouldn't have done that in live traffic. I think had he would have done that outside of a high speed chase, I think that he would have even gotten less of a sentence than he did. And then the John Jones situation, right? Specifically, the Tom Aspinall thing, and you had the whole Instagram story where he was talking about offing his kids. It's not good, man. It's not good when the biggest stories in MMA have nothing to do with MMA. It has nothing to do with people getting in the cage and, figuring out who the best fighters are. UFC Apex cards, they go. No crowd, weak cards typically. Like you're not gonna get any stacked UFC Apex cards, and they're hit or miss when it comes to how impactful the fights are. Marvin Vettori versus Roman Duedze does nothing for the division. Cop versus Almavive. I know that was supposed to be Brendan Royval, but it just shows that Cop is still around the top five. Cannonier Rodriguez. Rodriguez, yeah, he was an up and coming guy. They were trying to see if he can beat Cannonier. Cannonier beats him, stays in the top of middleweight, which we're going to get specifically to the middleweight rankings and the rankings in general. Dunn versus Ribas. Dunn is a top five fighter. Ribas was ranked in a different division. Really made no sense to me. Then Ravel versus Tatsu Taira. That was a good one. That was a good fight card. I know Taira came in uh, with a lot of these Japanese fighters. And it was a really fun card. Brendan Ravel showed that he is legitimately the number one contender, but has lost Pantoja twice. Rankings nobody can agree on, as I alluded to, and I picked the top 10 of light heavyweights. So on the left, lightweight, sorry, not light heavyweight, jeez. On the left, we have the official UFC rankings. Sorokian at 1, Oliveira at 2, Gaethje at 3, Poirier at 4, Max Holloway at 5, Dan Hooker at 6, Chandler at 7, 8, Yama 9, Beneil Dariush, and 10, Renato Moicano. This is my top 10. I agree, Sorokin at 1, Oliveira at 2. Sorokin beat Oliveira in their fight. Was a close fight. Oliveira beat Chandler. 3, I have Max Holloway. he knocked out Gaethje, coming out for a loss to Ilya Taporia, who's entering. Ooh, indigestion. Who's entering the division, so I don't really know where they're gonna fit him on here. Um, then you got Gaethje, who just beat Fiziev, who they want to throw into another title shot, and I absolutely disagree with it, because we need to start giving Gaethje title shots after one win. Then you have Dustin Poirier, who lost to Islam, beat Benoit Saint Denis, got knocked out by Justin Gaethje in their second fight. Dan Hooker at 6, who was supposed to fight Justin Gaethje. I think that way they end up fighting Gaethje or Holloway. I've seen a lot of talk of him and Max Holloway, and then Gaethje and Poirier 3. We'll have to see though. Renato Moicano at 7 was on a 5 fight win streak, lost to Islam Makachev. Then I got Patty Pimblett, who I assume that he will beat Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler is on a 3 fight losing streak. I just think that Patty will beat him. I think that Patty will submit him. Then I got Benil Dariush and Matthias Gamrot. But that's my lightweight rankings. Like the biggest problem here is that Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier have been at the top of this division forever. Oliveira beat Michael Chandler. I get that one. Oliveira, he beat Chandler, had a really close fight with Armand, and apart from that, looks like one of the best lightweights on the planet. Then I did middleweight. So middleweight, this is what the UFC website has. Imavov at 1, Strickland at 2, Hamza Chimaev at 3, Adesanya at 4, Whitaker at 5, Barolo at 6, Cannonier at 7, Hernandez at 8, Roman Dolidze at 9, Marvin Vettori at 10. This is what I think the ranking should be. 1, Hamza Chimaev, undefeated, has ran through mostly everybody he fought except for Gilbert Burns and Usman on short notice. Then you got Imavov coming off of a knockout win against Israel Adesanya, and move Sean Strickland to 3, coming off of a clear loss to DDT. He had a win over Paul Costa, who is in the top 10 anymore. Then I Kale Barral at 4. I believe that he'll probably get a big fight soon. Maybe Strickland. Um, we'll see. Adesanya at 5. Now I heard a lot of talk about the rematch with Sean, which I know I just said Barral might fight Sean. It's between him and Imavov, in my opinion. If they're going to do Chimaev, I think Barral versus Imavov will be a clear number 1 contender fight. Unless Imavov wants to hold out on it. Uh, Izzy at 5, Whitaker at 6, Hernandez at 7. I really like Hernandez. Cannonier at 8, Duidze at 9, Rene Doreder at 10. Like, we need to have clear rankings so that we as fight fans know kind of where the UFC values these fighters and what they've done lately. Like we need fresh matchups. We need fresh title fights. Just recycling the same fights over and over again. Having these older guys fight each other over and over again. We're not seeing who the best in the world is. We're seeing who is the best at being ranked in their time, right? Marvin Vettori lost to Israel under Sonya, never went on a win streak to get back to the belt. The Wednesday never got to the belt. We need more meaningful matchups. Which brings me to this AI rankings. This has been a big topic around the UFC ever since Dana White brought this up. He said they were looking into AI. Who's gonna write the code though? What is this AI gonna factor? Is it gonna factor, method of victory, total strike, significant strike, rack line, everything that goes into, judging an MMA fight and seeing who really is the best fighter or the best fighters, I should say. Would the AI be fully in control of matchmaking at that point? I don't think it would be. I think it still probably would be Hunter, Sean, and Dana making the making the matches, and then how does star power factor into the rankings? Somebody who like Michael Chandler, who's a big star, but has only had one win at lightweight. Well, two. I forgot about the Tony fight. One really incredible win being Dan Harker. So how is this AI going to factor all of this and make these rankings? I really we need to know more about this if it does happen. Moving on, missing the big fights for years now. The UFC over I'd say the last I would say the last 2 years, 2023, we still got big fights. But Jose Aldo done with Cruz. Former champion versus former champion. Featherweight go well, potential featherweight go over potentially the gold of the bantamweight division. Sean O'Malley versus Corey Sandhagen, which should be the next fight for Sean O'Malley. What they're looking at doing Marab and Sean too, even though that fight was not competitive at all. Jorge Masvidal versus Leon Edwards. We all know 3 piece in a soda. That thing basically sold the fight right there, and they never did it. Jorge got 2 title shots. Leon Edwards would stick around, win the belt, and then we get knocked out by Nate Diaz. But it was another big fight they missed. Then we got Henry Cejudo versus Jose Aldo. Another big fight. 2 former champions, Triple C, taking on Jose Aldo. Again, top 3 featherweight of all time. Now that Ilya Topuria is leaving the division, Alvarez Jose Aldo is top 4. In my opinion, he's top 3. If Ilya would have stayed at featherweight for like another 2 years, got like 3 or 4 title defenses, I think that he would have went down as the featherweight goat. John Jones versus Francis Ngannou. We know the story. Francis was champion at the time. John Jones took 3 years off to train and move up to heavyweight. We never got to fight John Jones, whether he ducked him, whether he really needed that time to bulk up. I don't think he did. Still one of the biggest fights we missed out on. And Dana White seems like he's very dead set on never doing business with Francis again. Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. I'm gonna throw that one in there too. Michael Chandler wasted 2 years of his career at the end, missed out on millions of dollars. Conor McGregor, I really feel like no, I really when these lawsuits came out, part of me was like, oh my god, this might drag Conor back into the UFC. But I'm at a point where I don't think he'll ever come back, and that's where it was before. His last fight, he broke his leg. I know it's been years since then, but the longer you're outside of the game, the more players that are drawn up. the more strategies that are made. And I don't see Connor competing even against Michael Chandler. Like, I think that he could be Michael Chandler, but the Connor we have now, I can't see him beating anybody. And this has been happening for years, missing the big fights. Jose Aldo. That's the one thing I will stress. You could have made so many legacy fights. But no, for us to have Montreal, big fight right there. No. Super fight criteria. What what should a champion do to go up and challenge for a second belt? Or down, whatever you're doing. Um my eyes, pretty simple. Three successful title defenses or vacate your belt, like Ilya did. Both champions must have fought the number one contender. Mainly, the one I'm thinking about right now, Pantoja, M- Marab beat Umar. He beat Sean O'Malley. If he fights Sean O'Malley again, I guess he's the number one contender. There's no really clear guy that is next for the title, which is why I think they should do Pantoja versus Marab. Pantoja has cleaned out his division. He's fighting everybody for a second time. Um, yeah, I just my eyes, the super fights. It's either they don't get made because the UFC doesn't find them marketable, or it's a star in the making trying to do what Connor did, trying to speed run um, to the two belts, like Sean O'Malley, like Ilya Taporia. But I think more needs to be said about defending your belt, about beating contenders and holding on to your belt. To me, that's more impressive than winning a belt, defending it once, or not even defending it at all, and then jumping up to win another belt. I know Alien Taporia said that he had weight issues, and that's why he moved up. But like he almost got knocked out against Jai Herbert. So we'll see. Anyways, so we need a clear criteria from maybe Dana White or the UFC on when a fighter really deserves a champ opportunity. I think Dana White said you need to clear your division. My eyes, I don't think you need to run through everybody. It's just number one contender, two more defenses. Whoever you beat on your come up to the title, and then you move up there. Moving on, fighter inactivity. Now this is a big one that is holding the UFC back. Belts should be defended twice a year. Heavyweight traditionally is once a year. And now this is a big one because of John Jones, obviously. Won the belt in 2023. Yeah, 2023. Got injured when he was supposed to fight Stipe at Madison Square Garden. Had to pull out. Tom Aspinall knocks out Pavlovich. John Jones honors his contract with Stipe to fight him, but everybody has a problem with it because Stipe's age, his inactivity. I think that it should be twice a year for everybody, not heavyweight. Heavyweight, like you look back at Stipe, King Velasquez, DC was the last person to do it, but he beat he beat Derek Lewis by submission, and then he had the second fight with Stipe, which he lost. Um, Contenders should fight 3 times a year, or at least aim for 3 times a year. If you're a guy on a come up, say like you're right out of the top 15, used to be fighting, following winter, spring or summer, then fall or winter. Some people are doing four fights a year, like Buckway and Protez. But I just think that we need contenders to be active because that's how you get champions active. You know, Sean Brady beating Leon Edwards. Uh, I don't know what you're gonna do with Shavkat, or really the rest of welterweight because it's very confusing what they're gonna do out there. Strip the belt after a year inactive. Guarantee a title shot on return. That's how I think it's the most fair way to do that. So you get injured, you relinquish your belt. Next fight, you come back, you're fighting for the title. Now, I I know that fighters may look at that as, oh my god, I'm losing the title defense. Well, yeah, technically, you're gonna become a two times, three times, however many times you won the belt, but you're still beating the person who is the number one contender or the champion. You know, I feel like that's an easy way to do it. No matter who you are, no matter how big a star you are, make it public. Fight once a year, lose your belt if you don't. And then the older guard needs to have fresh matchups. So, like I said, with the Roman Dolidze Marvin Vittori fight, Jared Cannonier, Kamaru Usman if he comes back, they need to have fresh matchups. We need to see the younger guys fight them because that's how you make stars out of the younger guys. They knock out the established guys, or they submit them, or they beat them by decision, and then we're like, oh my god, Brady beat Leon Edwards, even though I know they're close in age. Or Buckway, oh my god, I can't believe he knocked out Kamaru Usman, you know, one of the greatest welterweights of all time. How can Walking Buckway do against Bilal now? Or maybe Brady, whoever it is. We need fresh matchups. We can't just have the exact same fights go in rotation for years on end because then the divisions fill out. Judging and commentary, you guys expected this one. Unclear scoring criteria. Nobody knows how the hell you score fights anymore. Is it based on damage? Is it based on control time? Is it based on effective grappling? Who knows? Which I wrote down, awarding non-effective grappling. If you're just holding somebody against the cage, you're not landing strikes, you're not threatening the takedown. That's an effective grappling. That's being a little bitch. DC Edie on the mic. Stop it. Stop it, DC. We hear your munching, and we don't want to hear it. Turn off your mic then. Fights the fan base nearly unanimous were scored wrong. It should be agree. Were scored wrong or were robberies. There's so many fights lately where I'm watching the fights and I'm listening to commentary. And it's like I'm watching a completely different fucking fight than to what these guys are watching. Like they'll have somebody up 3 rounds when I think it's 2-1. Then they'll award it was okay. The Jan Blachowicz fight for me, in particular. I thought Jan Blachowicz won round one, but they were saying that oh my god, Oldberg looked phenomenal in the first round, which he did look good. But I still thought that Jan Blachowicz won that first round. Uh, and the other thing too, um, off topic too much on commentary. I get it, making little jokes here and there, make it fun, make it entertaining. But like, there are moments when Joe Rogan or DC or some or Michael Bisping, they miss an entire finish, or they miss the biggest moment, maybe an insane transition or an insane escape from a submission or an insane submission attempt. They all It looks like they missed those moments because they're rambling on about bullshit. They need. I want these two together because the judging obviously goes to decision. That's who wins. That's who goes on to face the next guy or the next contender, whoever it is. And then the commentary is supposed to, help people who aren't, watching every fight card, who don't have combat experience or, train jujitsu, kickboxing, Muay Thai, whatever it is. They're supposed to be breaking down what's going on. And they do that, but the amount of time they get off topic, they're missing the biggest moments of the fight. And that's why the commentary has been under criticism for some time. People don't like Cruz. People are getting fed up with Joe Rogan. People are fed up that DC won't stop eating on the mic. Make a clear scoring system. Let us read it, let us understand it, and get on topic and commentary. I love DC, I love Joe Rogan, John Anik, all of them. But like when I'm watching a fight, I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear about what you did, last week or whatever. I want to hear what's going on. What do the experts say about the techniques the fighters are using? Dana White failing to promote the big fights. Mainly, I made this one because of Dana White's appearance on First Take during UFC 313 fight week. Where at the end, I think it was the lady that they had on there asked Dana White, what should we be on the lookout for down the road? You know, maybe Israel Makachev versus the way to 4 hour. Let me tell you about DDP fighting Hamza Chimaev or Tom Aspinall getting his shot against John Jones. No, he just continues to talk about Alex Pereira, talk about the fight week when they were really trying to dig for a headline. What's next? What big fights are coming up? And that's one of the biggest reasons. I remember years ago, we knew fights like 6 months in advance. We knew what was going down, you know, 2 months minimum. Now it's just like, yeah, I'll go on Instagram. This fight, it's happening in 2 months. Um, yeah, it should be a good fight. Moving on. What you get, you are making hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of fights a year. But still, you gotta promote the big ones. You gotta get the hype out there for Ilya Topuria moving to lightweight, undefeated, knocked out the last two champions at featherweight, going for Israel Makachev, who has one knockout loss, and apart from that, has dominated everybody. Zhang Weili versus Valentina Shevchenko, two dominant champions in women's MMA, two of the best women's fighters, period. John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. The biggest fight. The fight that everybody wants to see. Very silent on it. Really hasn't done any bit of promotion for it. And then Pantoja moving out to 135. I think that's massive, but they've always hated fly, flyweight. They didn't like Demetrius Johnson. Pantoja, I feel like I feel like fans always are moving up to 135. Marab is a nightmare matchup. I just realized that the image I picked had, oh well, MMA junkie sue me. But yeah, these are master fights here, and Dana White's really been silent on everything, which leads me to my next point: is Dana White planning to step back? Hunter Campbell seems to be taking more responsibility. Dana White has power slap. Dana White wants to make TKO boxing. How is he gonna have time for the UFC? The TV rights deal. Well, when they signed the ESPN one years ago, that was massive for Dana White. A lot of people said that Dana White potentially could take a step back of it. I know that he always says, you know, he's never leaving, he'll do it until he's 80. But like his commitment lately in the press conferences, in any kind of radio or show, podcast, he's failed to really promote the big fights in MMA. He does good. He does a good job of power slap. He talks about power slap constantly, but you know, I'm not the biggest power slap fan. I I think most of you, maybe you are fans, maybe you are not. But there's much bigger, you know, fights that I want to hear about. There's a lot of stuff I want to see in UFC beyond what I'm bringing up here. And his tone has kind of changed recently. You know, he said that there is a succession plan and in place for him. He said that it's not Hunter Campbell, but I think it will be Hunter. Um, I hate how every single image they picked in this, but it's blurry, but whatever. No competition. PFL is dead along with Bellator. Don Davis did a perfect job in killing his company. And, they got Patricio Pitbull in the UFC now. They'll probably end up picking everybody else they have up there. We'll see what happens with Francis. But one is just breaking into North America. Then they had fighters like Renier the Ritter saying to everyone, never sign there. It's the worst place to go. GFL, that's just UFC legends. And then late 40s, like, I don't know, nostalgia MMA, I guess. And then the UFC bought up basically everybody else that was around. Strike Force, a way to exceed. Which again, my picture didn't show up for a way to exceed. I'm getting pissed off at this. But yeah, not having any real threat there. That's why I believe they're not really pushing out the big super fights. Because what else are you gonna watch? Are you gonna go watch PFL? Are you gonna go watch Bellator? I mean, one, one I do like watching. I watch out of every other organization. I watch one the most, but because of the fact there's no competition, the UFC kind of just stays consistently, you know, where they are. Then you get the one big fight at International Fight Week. You get the one big fight at Abu Dhabi. And then you get Madison Square Garden, right? They they don't need to put on banger cards every month. And that's where I kind of ended on this one. So you know, I realized how fast and how long this video is. But like the UFC needs to change something in the next little bit here. They need to make the big fights. Make Tom Aspinall versus John Jones. Make Makachev versus Saboya. We need big fights. You know, it's I'm struggling to promote. Marvin Vittori versus Roman Doidze. Give me fights that shape the next 5 years of the division. Give me DDP versus Hamza Chimaev. All that. But that's what I got. Thank you for watching this video. These are just a couple things that I think would make the UFC kind of rebound in a down year and really bring home 2025. Give us the big plays that we want to see. Well, let me know. What do you think? What else do you think the UFC needs to do to save 2025? And other than that, thanks for watching. Later.